conversation between you and your client. So check it out and set up your reminders for 6 p.m. every Thursday. Sundays at 1 is Jason Leadester of Philadelphia, his skill building Sundays drawing group. Jason is a very good friend. He's educated, experienced, patient. He's been doing the show for a really long time, but loves to share his Sunday afternoons with you. To watch any of these shows live, just go to our website or the YouTube channel. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify or any of the other places as well. So thank you to everybody for tuning in, and let's go ahead and get Jake on. What's up, Jake? Unmute.
Oh, I was trying to unmute on my end and you gave me an unmute button. How's it going?
It's going really well.
Good, good. Where's our third co-host? We lost him.
It's, I guess it's a variable.
I guess so. I guess so. Well, I don't know. I don't know really what's happening today. I've got a few things that I'd like to talk about, but hopefully we find Gabe. I don't guess we're guestless this week, aren't we? Without Gabe.
It's just us. You know what? I'm down to roll with just us. So we have been kind of playing around with new software and tricks. So I think our booking style will be a lot better in the future.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. Well, good. All right. Well, we want to we're gonna
roll the intro.
Roll our intro, yeah.
All right. Actually, do you want to go ahead and tell everybody who you are?
I will. All right, I will do that. All right. I'm Jake of the Fireside Tattoo Network, where our goal is to blur the lines between tattooing and fine art. You can find this on YouTube or wherever your favorite podcast platforms are. We're on everywhere, I think. I think I have a service that basically shoots us everywhere. But if you are a big podcast person, you don't know, you can't find Fireside on whatever platform you are on. If you'll email info@Fireside Tattoo, we'll make sure we get on that platform. I think we're basically everywhere these days, though.
Right on. And I'm Lauren Gregory with Reinventing the Tattoo and Raw Pigments, and happy to be here. This is episode number 47. All right. Yeah. So I'm curious. I haven't really gotten to see you. I guess last week, what were you up to?
Last week, I think I just missed last week. I feel like that I only missed one. I may have missed 2 weeks though, but I had to move my tattoo schedule around. That's the downside of starting to take on projects where people are coming in from different parts of the country or world, is that you want to keep these really strict, like you want to control your own schedule, control your life a little bit, not end up bending to everyone's will. But sometimes it just makes more sense to, like, if the person can only fly in this day, it has to fly out that day, or if flights are significantly cheaper. So that's what I ended up with. I started a really cool new project last Monday. Normally I don't tattoo Mondays, but a phoenix that basically starts under her right boob and around it and all the way across her back and down her left thigh almost to her knee. So it was about a 10-hour day just to get it outlined, just to get it, like, it took me probably 2 hours to place stencils and to draw, to connect and all that kind of stuff. So a couple hours of just getting prepped and then like 8 hours of tattooing. It was her first real tattoo. I should say she has like one little bit of text that she got on her underarm just to like make sure she could handle it. So she got tattooed recently just to make sure that she could, get through a day like this. And she sat like a rock. It's funny, like I always I think about how when you're designing something that works over multiple panels of a body, and nothing can be seen, like what is seen from here is not seen from here. You don't really see everything together. You experience it from 3 different sides of her body, 4 really, all the way around. And it's funny how when you take a drawing like that and you unfold it to like make a stencil for it, it's the most awkward, weird looking, like this Phoenix does not look like it looks like it was drawn by someone who has no idea of perspective and relationships or any of that kind of stuff. It's just the way it has to be when you're like wrapping, you know, multiple
So what was
panels.
your approach? Because, you know, you could handle that almost digitally as well with 3D rendering, but like,
Yeah.
like the analog version, I guess, of applying something. What exactly did you do?
With her, but with her, because I didn't have the opportunity to actually map and trace her body as well, we just went by photographs. So I did draw it digitally. I drew it on the iPad just in Procreate, and I basically drew like a side panel and a back panel and a leg panel, and so I knew what I wanted them to look like from that perspective. And then whenever it came time to stencil, I just placed all the main elements where I knew that I wanted them, like the head of the Phoenix sits here, this wing, you know, wraps like this, and this tail does this. And then I basically just had to draw the connecting pieces. And I use a lot of background and like atmospheric stuff to make some of those connections. So like if there's a connection where a wing hits the body and there is any point where that might look awkward, if they, you know, because of how it's coming this way and, you know, this way, then I'll just use, you know, it's a Phoenix, so I'll just use flames or something to intercept that area of the body or that connection point. And then no one ever knows the difference. It's all just trickery, you know.
Well, now that I've seen your work enough in person, it's like, ooh, cool. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait. And she has another appointment in like a week and a half. So we're going to try to motor through it. So
where is she coming in from?
North Carolina, I think, somewhere in North Carolina. So it's, pretty exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm excited to get back on it. But yeah, so anyways, that caused me to miss last week's show. So catch me up a little bit. You were telling me before we came on, you had 2 guests and Gabe was live with those guests. Is that right?
Yeah, Gabe went down to Queens. He was in Astoria. Where is she coming in from? Oops.
Whoa.
Okay, yeah, he was it was in 10,000 Foxes, which is really cool because I've never met Tim before. And Tim is like, okay, if I can say nerd in a good way, he's really smart, and he had questions about pigments and stuff. So I love anything like that. But they're seriously great tattooers. Their shop vibe is really sound. They have, like he mentioned, 9 guest artists coming between now and the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
So they're constantly working with new people. Their rapport is great. They're super passionate. They're just, I don't know. If you didn't watch it, it was episode number 46.
Yeah, I'll go back and I'd like to go back and at least catch the interview portion of it. What they're in Boston, is that what you said? Where are they?
Queens, New York.
Oh, Queens. Oh, okay. I don't know why. Okay. Huh. And what was Gabe there just for the show, or I guess he's doing some type of contract work, some type of software work with them?
Yeah, setting up stuff like that, I believe.
Yeah.
Which was cool because honestly, he was on location with Bart, our friend Bart, like a couple months or a month or so ago. Yeah. And that was cool because it was the same type of thing. It's neat, really cool to see artists in their own environment, like, you know, adapting, because we've been doing the live stuff. Obviously, you've been doing that for a really long time, but it's cool to see the catch up a little bit. It is really scary because they're tech demons. They're not tech angels.
Yeah.
If they were, I think a lot of us would be in it a lot more.
Right. Yeah. I've said a lot. The difference in what I do with pre-recording and making sure that everything is exactly the way that I want it to be, and then releasing it on a date. It's so much less stress than this type of thing than the live streaming. I'm happy that you guys take care of all the button pushing and technical side of it, and I get to just show up and do this.
Well, speaking of, just while we do the live stream, one thing I want to say, hey, Jason on the spot, thanks for watching. Creature, Amber from the Reinventing. What's up, everybody? We've got our 50th episode coming up in a few weeks before you guys go to Richmond. So if there's anybody you guys want to talk to, just drop a nice little comment and we'll talk about it. Yeah,
I'm excited about that. 50. That's crazy. I was speaking of, I see Jason says, hey, Lauren, over here on the Fireside chat. We had an episode that I did not do a great job of promoting, unfortunately, but we had an episode last week did you watch it with Jason? Yeah. Really good. A ton of good information. And he shared a lot of links to some of his favorite printing stuff and photography stuff. And so I've got a little clip from it that I was going to play here today. And it was a great episode. Luckily, I'm lucky that YouTube reminds people that we have content out whenever I'm so terrible about doing it. So I got it. Did you? Good. Yeah. Yeah, I hope if you guys do, I'm not the best at promoting our episodes when they come out. So if you have not clicked the notification bell on Fireside, then definitely should. Oh, sorry, Gabe, you're too late, man. We're already in a roll.
Oh, we are doing a show. It's
Yeah,
Monday morning. Shit.
Yeah, no, we're in a flow
Welcome.
now. You'll just screw us all up. Just be quiet.
Okay.
What are you doing? Why are you late? Do you have a note from the teacher or anything?
Yeah, actually, I had a consulting meeting. Somebody was helping me with some of the softwares. I've been signing up to some softwares and tools.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we could give you a free half hour or a free hour. And I'm like, cool. And then we start, and it takes me about 90% of the time to just explain how far along we've already gotten and what we need. But then they're always like, but it's great because the last 10 minutes, I'm like, so where do we go from here? And they're like, oh, you know what, you could do this. I'm like, I know I could do that. And because I'm defensive, I know I could do that. That's what I'm talking about. And they're like, and this is how you do it. I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
That's what I needed.
That's what I needed. Well, so anyways, I apologize. All of a sudden I realized, I realized when I get on a Zoom call, time disappears.
Yeah.
How's the show going? People watching?
People are watching. We've got a handful of folks giving their good mornings, and we were just kind of catching up on what you guys did last week. I was just telling everyone about an episode that we put out last week with Jason Leeser, where he shared a lot of information about his printing process, choosing printers. We talked about both if you want to get set up to print your own kind of fine art prints at home, how you might choose a printer. And then also if you wanted to hire printers, how you might choose a printer. So
awesome.
Like how to choose a printer or how to choose a printer.
Boom. Yeah. Do you know why there's uppercase and lowercase letters or the origin of uppercase and lowercase?
Let's hear it.
No.
Well, people can post in no one gives a shit really. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. We could either tease it out or I could give it. We should do that though. Maybe in the beginning of every episode, we could ask a fun trivia question and give the answer at the end.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
When the printers had their letters out in their printing cases, they had the lowercase of letters that they would use to put up on the printing press, and then they would have the uppercase that they would go to put on the printing press. There's an uppercase and a lowercase.
Yeah. Well, how do they decide which one to use for what? Just because of grant? I
thought you were going to say. I don't know. If I guess let's say the 1600s. I guess 1700s. I'm embarrassed. I don't even know when printing presses. What year? Somewhere around wherever the printing presses were made. I don't think they had many standards of which keys or they put in which spots. Although I would propose my uneducated opinion would be depends on who your mentor was.
Yeah.
On which keys to put where. They probably had some sort of standards that they evolved towards, but the same thing, right? The QWERTY keyboard is like set up. I mean, it's not like, they obviously put thought into it, but they put thought into the way like typewriters and shit work like fucking whatever 100 years ago. Yeah. Well, we need new keyboards. Keyboard revolution. Sorry, this is tattoo talk.
We do, even more than keyboards, we need better interface for smart TVs. It is so frustrating, and I'm still clicking through like with my remote control to try to choose, what I want to search on YouTube or whatever on my TV. And mine has, I know we all have like talk to whatever, like there's a little microphone button on my remote. It's complete garbage. Button. It doesn't work at all. She doesn't understand anything that I say, or it doesn't understand anything that I say.
But it does record it all and send it straight to China.
Oh.
Or Russia or wherever, I don't know. Could probably send it straight to Washington, D.C. Would it be even worse or just as bad?
Hold on, the creature says the indent on a paragraph started with an oversized letter that was forgotten to be handwritten into the old text, and it became a thing. Let me read that again. It started with an oversized letter that was forgotten to be handwritten in the old text. Huh. Interesting.
So like some sort of weird, somebody basically fucked something up and then was like, nah, you know what? It's a little bit easier to read that way, right?
Yeah, crazy.
I bet there's a lot of, I wonder what like artsy, I mean, obviously in tattooing, there's plenty of like legacy things that we only do because that's the way they were done fucking up, Yeah. Some of them are done for hundreds of years on purpose. Some of them, you just kind of pick up from your, it's just like parenting, you pick up your crappy parenting from your crappy parent, you pick up your crappy tattoo habits from your crappy tattoo mentor, and then all of a sudden you're like doing shit, and people are like, that's the way, it's one of my pet peeves, that's the way that, it's been done. I was like, well, just because that's the way that it has been done does not make it an excuse for us continuing to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Right. Let me, while we were talking about that episode and printing, let me share just a little clip from Jason's episode.
Cool.
And then you guys can find it. Let's see. Could you guys see that there?
Yep. It's your desktop.
Oh, not supposed to see my whole desktop. Don't look off to the side.
It's about the type of pigment that the printer uses. Or let me rephrase. It's about the type of ink that the printer uses. I always look for a printer that uses pigment ink. Pigment ink is archival. It is good for hundreds of years without fading, without any kind of alteration. Any type of museum quality photograph or museum quality reproduction that you see, it's going to be made with pigment ink.
There you go. Pigment ink. Stop share.
Awesome. I'm digging a new format with the words underneath.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, some podcast. I need to reach out to some of these other tattoo podcasters that are so much better than me now. The guys at the Tattoo Guardians, theirs are cool. Like the way their text pops up, it like oversizes the word that's most important, and then like, so it'll kind of like type out as they're talking and it pauses with them. I'm sure there's some app that does it automatically.
Were you using the new one that we just signed up for? I'm sure it could do something like that, but
it probably could. No, I just created that in Premiere. I'm still making everything. Okay. I'm still making everything in Premiere.
I know that we're getting you shifted over some new tech this week, so we'll work on that too.
Yeah.
Because in reinventing news, the podcast yesterday had the best month of downloads that we've ever had in the year and a half.
That's awesome.
Granted, I was slacking for a month or two, so it's not like we were like going as strong as I possibly could. But the fact is, right now, all of our shows are going up on the podcast like clockwork, and the audience is growing accordingly, which makes it pretty psyched.
Nice.
Hey, while I'm still in share mode, do you mind if I share a little clip of my upcoming episode for this week? I've already got it pulled up here.
Please.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats on that. All right, desktop there, share sound. So this week, our special guest is Nico Hurtado.
To this day, man, I mean, I think I've learned a lot of things and figured out some stuff, but it's still, I've only been tattooing for 22 years. So I'm seeing tattoos that are probably 18 years old, 19 years old, and I'm able to judge them now. And since it wasn't really like, there was people doing it, but I think also a solid tattoo, like wall-to-wall color, is going to hold up the best for that style of tattooing. Unless you're really, really like disciplined with leaving really open skin and just kind of fading it out to that. Like, but I think the longest lasting is wall-to-wall color, because
I'll stop it there. So yeah, we went pretty deep. Let's see. We went pretty deep into a lot of his kind of his process, and he was kind of a real innovator when it came to that color realism. He was doing things, and we even got into like how he started the kind of approach where you're like rendering fully, which all the realism guys do now, but when he started doing it, where you're like fully rendering, so you got like stencil here and full color and render up to the nose, and you're like, who does that? Well, that doesn't even make any sense. And he was the first person that I ever saw do it. And so we talked about where that approach came from. And it's funny, all the stuff that he did, he really didn't know. There wasn't anyone really doing it. He was kind of winging it a little bit, but great interview. We talked for about an hour or so. And that interview was actually put together by Jägermeister of all things. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Were you guys drinking Jaeger during the interview, or was
no,
that
man? I looking back, I should have, but I don't really care for Jaeger. But I've been, I guess I still need to do an intro. So maybe I'll go grab a bottle today. And
you should do an intro. Make sure you do an outro too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. One of the things I remember, Nico's obviously fantastically, talented. I guess we'll talk about it because that's why we're here, I suppose. But I first met him in 2009, I believe. Mm-hmm. So Joshua Cartland had come out. I think Josh was maybe our second or third guest, and I was like, Josh, who should we have come? Who would you recommend we bring in? And he was like, oh, Nico, this kid Nico Hurtado, and I was like, oh, I think that's the guy that did like the Catwoman. He did the Catwoman tattoo. He's like, yeah, I did the Catwoman tattoo. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And
Yeah.
yeah, sure enough, like, 6 months later, Nico was out and doing amazing tattoos. And, to your point, like, very, giving, like he's able to talk about it. He likes to talk about it. And, and hearing him talk about, I remember this was, 2009, so, over a decade ago, and I've smoked a lot of weed since then, but I still remember this. He was like, when I look at, something, I could really kind of like look in there and get into it, and I could look and I could see, I want to count the dots. Okay, there's like 3 dots of blue, 2 dots of yellow, and I'm like, damn, man, you're like getting into the fucking into it, you're there, and that's why the shit looks like the way that it did and does.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's great. Yeah,
we talked a little bit about some of that experience. The first time I ever met him, or very briefly, was at the thing that you did in Portland, the Worldwide Tattoo Conference in Portland. And that was, I think we decided that was like 2015. Nico and I talking, I think, so yeah, seven, almost 8 years ago now. And yeah, he had a great seminar there. Gogoy did a really fantastic seminar, Nick Baxter, and so yeah, a lot of
Adrian
great
Lee.
presenters.
Adrian did his there. I was I love that shit.
Ralph Nonweiler did one there.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a really, really good show. And we talked about, actually, Nico commented on how well put together that was, and like, lunch was provided, and it was like, it was good. It was, it was like hot food. It was crazy. It was the first tattoo event that I had ever been to that was put on that, at that level. So
I felt that about Paradise myself in Colorado and Keystone. I was like, this is the first time being impressed like that. So good job, Gabe.
Oh, shucks. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I can't wait to do that shit again. People want to do it again, not this year, probably not next year, but the year after that, we could do some cool. I mean, again, part of what I've been doing is before, I got my ass kicked and then COVID happened. Like, I'm like, smaller events are much better for me, right? So like the 550 people kind of things are still what's fascinating me. But it was fun. It is fun throwing massive big parties, and we meet people I meet people all the time that have been to, again, some of these random spots, Keystone or Colorado or Portland was fun. I mean, I want to get back over to Italy and Europe, and I've been talking about doing an inspiring tour in Italy. I think I teased it out a little bit more, but we should do a big show again. I mean,
at some point
we can get you a bubble, Gabe.
I'll go around the
Bubble Man
convention producer in the bubble. Yeah, well, at this point, I'm mostly working on other people's shows anyway, so I'm happy to do that. I don't have a tattoo show. Like part of doing those big shows is that I had a full crew behind me.
Yeah.
And right now I'm running pretty much. So obviously I got a lot of help and working with people and stuff, but like at the end of the day, my staff meetings are with myself, so it's not really super plausible to run a show at that scale. The conference, yes, I'm definitely down with doing another worldwide conference at some point too. I've been talking to Alex DePasse about it. And again, obviously things are crazy and stars need to align. He's also very, sometimes it's like, who are the icons of the day, right? I mean, maybe this is a good question for people. Who are the icons, of today? Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes I'll ask that and people hammer out 20 people. I'm like, well, I know 3 of them, so they're only they can't be quite iconic yet, but almost. Anyways, that's in the works, right? If people want another worldwide conference, we can do those again. And
yeah, definitely. That is a good question. That's definitely something that that you'd want to get out there to the general tattoo public early on and get feedback. Because one thing that would be tricky about that, though, especially with a new group of tattooers who have a new group of tattoo heroes, is just because these people are great tattooers and really great at running their social media doesn't mean that they can get on a stage and make a presentation. And we've run into that a handful of times where it's just like, oh wow, like good thing you're so good at tattooing.
Well,
right.
Terrible at talking. It's not subjective. It's not necessarily subjective sometimes. It would depend on who you ask, but I think that's kind of understood. It would be really interesting though. I don't know who it was. Actually, it was Tony Urbanik who was talking about like some like unknown studs in Russia that he had found at one point, or this kid like just killing it. And it's like, it kind of depends on what you call or define iconic as. But I mean, like someone like Henning, I consider Henning an absolute icon in the world. It depends on who you ask. Or I've asked people who don't even know what Royal Tattoo is, and it's like, okay.
Henning's him and Mike, all those guys, I would call him icon. And that's the thing for me, and I think it almost is okay, right? So if, like, for me, and again, part of me, would be like, well, the best would be to, get Philip Blue, right? If we could get, Philip Blue, and that would be great. I don't care if 90% of the tattooers that have been tattooing 3 years don't know who he is, because part of my job as the event producer is to introduce them to that, to do that, to make those connections. Not that I'll never be in a position to be introducing Phil to anybody, right? But that would be the intent, right? Or guy, or whoever it might be. And I don't know. Yeah. So part of it's like the icon, like the definition of icon. I don't know. We can look it up. I'll look it up while we're doing the stuff. But a kid who's been tattooing and then is awesome and blows everybody away is not an icon, right? Because there's also it's not just the quality of work and how much you could strike somebody. It's like how much you could positively influence your peers and clients and all that, right? And so, like Guy, for instance, not only does he continually get better at his craft and do better tattoos and better art and whatnot, but he's also teaching. Right. So like his influence, is out there in the context of his teaching. Right. And so, so I mean, that's part of what would make him an icon. And now, obviously, Phil Blue doesn't do any teaching. He hangs out in, the Alps and just does these amazing back pieces as an artist. Right. I don't know. Yeah. So, but the point is, I guess, I would propose that when we're making like a tattoo shop or a convention, we definitely want to have, the young girls and boys who are like, in it 2 years and are killing it and aren't, and pushing things because they don't know any better. But certainly it's almost just as important or more important to have those wise old people, to have, Carrie Barbara or, who's like Arendelle Dover or somebody who's like just watched their shit for decades. And have also navigated the tattoo world for decades. I think is very important. And so sometimes I'll see, and we've all seen, and I'll wrap up my fucking rant in a second. We've all seen like conference types I've seen conference types where I've seen people that are really talented, but are not mature enough to understand the level of influence they have. So some of the shit that comes out of their mouth, it's like, dude, you have 400,000 people fucking idolizing you. Shut the fuck up until you know what you're saying, right?
That would be cool if we had like even a segment where once a week we could kind of spotlight an icon or someone that we look up to.
Yes, I think that we have a roaming segment. We have 20 minutes 1 week of somebody new, 20 minutes of somebody that's an icon, 20 minutes, we're not, and because we're automatically going out on the podcast, thank you podcast listeners, we will tighten it up and do so.
Cool.
Yeah, great idea. We had a few other comments in here. Dan, our helper Dan, our buddy Dan here says Nick Baxter and Steve Moore are two icons that would stand out to him. Yeah, Nick does a lot of teaching. I think that Steve just did that Columbia Tattoo Conference, and I'm really curious to talk to someone who was at that conference and got to see his presentation, because from a obviously from a talent standpoint and a body of work standpoint, Steve is up there with anyone, but I don't know exactly
possibly the best in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all a matter of flavor, I suppose, at that point.
Right. Yeah. Well, and we saw a couple of clips from it. Lauren, maybe you showed that he got a standing ovation at the end of his demonstration. So, like, how often do you see that? So obviously he did. Obviously, he was really good. But I haven't talked to anyone who was there. I know Russ was there, Abbott, but I haven't talked to him. I thought about texting and
you should send him a message. I'd totally love to hear that firsthand recall of that. Yeah,
me too.
We have somewhere in the archives, we have an interview with him from Venice. He did an interview, and I think we got like 90% of the way through making a Venetian DVD, and then didn't get it over the finish line. But one of the things that really struck me about him is that he's very, very kind, very kind of fun and animated too. Like I remember him, and very tall. He's like tall and animated.
Yeah.
So yes, agreed wholeheartedly, Dan. Both of those guys I would consider icons, again, because of their decades of positive contributions to the tattoo world.
Yeah. And we have Jason says yes, tattoo icons, exclamation point. Amber Morgan says she loves that idea. So there you go. We have two upvotes.
Well, but spit them out.
Doing that.
You can't just say yes.
Jason,
you have to say yes.
They're talking about as a
segment.
ongoing segment. Yeah.
Jason has a plethora of knowledge in terms. I love talking to him about the why, because it wasn't just yes. He's like, yes. He's very animated too. And he got to see Steve tattooing, I believe. When was it? He went to Canada over the summer.
So. Oh, speaking of Canada, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I saw that Marcus Leonard moved to the same island. What's it called? The
Vancouver Island, I believe.
Vancouver Island, yeah, which is where Steve, I guess, is still based out of. It's where he was. So that's pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
Marcus Leonard is possibly he's another fucking absolute badass. I'm firing.
Have you talked to him to find out why he made that move from Germany to Canada?
Yeah, for Haya.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They've been I think
They recently.
did they actually get a proposal? I think he's actually got a proposal.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. I don't know if they're married yet.
Haya,
But I did see a proposal. Okay, well that makes sense. So she's from that area, so they moved to be
Correct.
closer
They've been
to
going
her
back and
people.
forth to Germany, and now they're well, evidently, if he's back there, he landed back there. Ironically, John Clue has moved back to Long Island.
Oh, interesting. From where?
He was up in Canada there for a while with he was up in Canada for the last year or two, or three or four, I don't know. He was up in Canada previously.
Yeah.
But,
Marcus, his form of bioorganic this style of work is as unique as anyone who's ever done it. Really, it's got his own stamp on it. We had a great 2-part interview with him probably a year or two ago now, and we went into some of this, some of his reasoning behind his color palettes, his design, his process, and all of that. It was a really good show. In fact, I'd like to go back and watch it myself, because now that I'm talking about it, there's a lot that I probably forgot.
I did a good interview with him and Kaya, actually, like 3 or 4 years ago. When I was still half depressed, and it was pretty awesome. They're fun. They got a good chemistry. I did not promote I did promote for a little bit because anyway, the point is they're fucking awesome. This is Kaya's work here, and you can see obviously they why they get along so well.
Yes, similarly stylistically. Yeah. Do they collaborate? I assume they have and do.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I guess when they're on different continents and stuff, it probably makes it a little more difficult. They did a collaborative poster for the Paradise next year.
Oh, nice.
Wow. They did it for a previous year that did not happen, but
yeah.
She also does like fabrics and shit. This is fucking cool stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that I follow her. That's really nice. I don't think that I follow her. I should. I know her name. I know that I've crossed paths with her somehow. I'm gonna do that while you're scrolling. I'm gonna go find her.
She helped us put together the show. Were you up to make the show in the Chicago area? At Rob's place? One of the Reinventing Lives?
I don't think so. Oh yeah, I am following her. Say you follow people and then they don't ever show up on your feeds. So you just don't know who you're keeping up with. In fact, Marcus made some post about one of my all-time favorite tattooers, Tim Bedron, that he's relocated to like Oregon or something, and he showed a couple of Tim's pieces just to to put him out there. And I realized that I haven't seen the last like 10 posts that he's made either. So maybe it's just that I'm not on the platforms as much, but
if you're not interacting, you're not gonna get it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this shit. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Dude, I haven't looked at his stuff in forever.
Oh man.
What? Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely nuts. Yeah, it's little textures.
But like textures that work in the context of fucking textures when it's needed and fucking makes sense, not like
what's funny what's funny is he only does, I think, black and gray tattoos now. All of his drawings are black and gray, but I feel like he early in my tattoo career, he was one of my biggest color influences. He used to come down and do guest spots at Underground Art where I worked for about 15 years, and I would see him when he was doing the really kind of twisty, gnarly trees, and he would use all of these like browns into ochres on the light side, and then from browns into these soft muted purples on the shadow side, and then really, really subtle like reflective light, and stuff under it. And it was the most effective use of muted color I'd ever seen. And I was just watching how he was mixing in and out and stuff. And so I don't know, completely was trying to steal his approach to color, and then fast forward 20 years, 15 years, and he doesn't do color anymore.
Sorry, I'm just dorking out on the dogs here. Does he not look like a cousin, or she look like a cousin for Iggy? This is my dog.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
My Instagram's just all pictures of my dog now. I try to stay off Instagram. I'm still addicted. Anyways, Tim's fucking
Yeah.
badass, really.
Yeah.
You know what? And I love it when people change their, when they change it up a bit like that. It's him and some who else is like an example, maybe like Alec Turiansky. There's a piece of art that they understand fundamentally. So it's like almost the different mediums are tapping into the same real fundamental thing. So it's not like they're just good at one kind of art. It's like they could really, it seems like they understand a lot of the different aspects of all the different arts.
That's a really good comparison. I hadn't thought about those two guys, together, but yeah, that's a really great comparison. That's someone else who's on that same level of bead-drawing that really does like. You can look at any tattoo that Turiansky does for 20 minutes and still discover new things, within it. Just one of the absolute,
This is still a bead in here. Look at it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Let me look at Turiansky. Turiansky's got some paintings. Yeah, there was one that I saw from Turiansky. He worked with us at a booth in Hell City, and so I was looking at the painting for like 3 days, and I was still seeing shit in it 3 days later. This is one of his current paintings. This is one of Alec Turiansky's.
It's incredible.
He's been live streaming some of the painting. Yeah, so it's like 40 minutes of him.
Oh, nice. Should go back and watch that. Yeah, I mean, his tattoos are just as interesting. Just all that subtlety, like, that's actually pretty similar. That especially down in the claws and in the branch, that looks a lot like a Tim Biedron tattoo.
I am sure that they appreciate each other's work. Yeah, look at that.
Wow, so good.
Oh, yeah. His imagination is. He's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, and he worked at your shop for how long?
A couple of years.
Yeah.
He came over, I think, for the first tattoo gathering, 2008, and then he came over, did a couple of guest spots, got in trouble with immigration for a little bit, but then got a full O1 visa, maybe like 4 or 5 years later, or maybe it was 8 years later. I don't know. He worked for a couple of years, got his full O1 visa, and but then he went back to Russia maybe 5, 6 years ago, 4 years ago. Like just before my shop fucking fell apart, he moved back to Russia.
And I hope he's sneaking out of there right now so he doesn't get roped into whatever this draft is that they're doing. We can't afford to be losing artists like him.
No, yeah, it's insanity. I mean, part of we could get into that if we want to, but Part's like, yeah, okay, Russia, it's a good thing that you're protesting now, but you could have protested fucking 3 months ago when you were still beating the shit out of Ukraine,
Right.
And again, part of I don't know. I don't know. I'm a fucking computer geek, and I got opinions about everything, but that's a different show.
Yeah, back to the art side. There are so many great Russian artists, and you hope that hope they're able to.
Who's it? Rain's
stay
from
safe.
Art of Rain, the Arch of Rain.
Oh yeah,
just got.
That was a cool thing to see here on the benefit, the drunk critique benefit thing.
Yeah, sick ass painter. Now, so Rain's a tattooer. These are her paintings. She went through the illustrator's master's class that was up here, and as we've talked about in the past.
Are they still doing that?
Nah, they do some of it online. Smart Art School.
Yeah, is that the same group? Smart Art School. Yeah.
Rebecca Bly.
My good friend, one of my biggest inspirations, Adam Shaw, has taken a few classes. He just finished one up with what's his name, Scott Fisher, and it was Scott Fisher and who does the awesome polar bear paintings?
Not Ian.
I'm drawing
Greg,
a blank.
Greg,
yeah, Greg Manchester. Yeah, it was a class that the two of them did together, and Adam got a lot out of it. We may have talked about it on this show a few months ago, where he talked about how one of the two of those guys, I forget which one, like would start their painting in Photoshop and like get the rough kind of temperature and shapes and just block it in very, very loosely and muddy, and then have it printed on canvas and then paint on top of it. So it was kind of like his underpainting. And then he would paint directly on top of it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, this guy here, Dan Dos Santos, is
Yeah. Really
did a drunk critique with us. It was really awesome to do the drunk critique with the illustrators because obviously tattooers have a checklist to run through. The illustrators are like, why is the character why does the character have his hand like this if there's somebody striking? It should be like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was also about priority. And it's kind of like designers, like if you talk to graphic designers, or like header, so subheader, title, images, right? Like there's just rules of design with priority. And so clearly priority, face, second priority, tertiary, there was primary, secondary, tertiary. There's a lot of primary, secondary, background, the steps that they go through were pretty good. And the tattooers that go through this have all, whether I appreciate them as people or not, all the ones that go through it are fucking come out better artists and tattooers any day of the week.
I wonder if they have any plans to go back to in person, because I never did one, but I tattooed at your shop in East Hampton either right before there was going to be one or right after, and several of the artists at your shop had been to them or were preparing to go again, and they were talking about just how they had art rooms that were open 24 hours a day, and it was like this whole kind of, it almost came across like a summer camp or winter camp, whatever kind of environment. I would imagine you get a lot more out of that than you do an online experience.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was great. It was a treat because they always had the open house on Father's Day. So for years I go over there and be able to check out all the artwork and whatnot. And but I think Rebecca moved down south. So if they do it again, I think close to your neck of the woods, maybe in Savannah area. Rebecca Guay is the one who put it together. And although part of me is like, if the formula exists in Amherst, maybe some of those artists, like Amherst, might want to help make it happen again or something. But
yeah, that's nice. It'd be awesome if she put something together in Savannah. That's not that far from me. I mean, kind of, but not too bad. And that's a beautiful area. Dan says Christian Perez, he's throwing out other folks. Yeah, Christian did. He did the last Paradise BYOB. He did a full day painting seminar. I saw a lot of people's paintings, and people really loved that seminar. That seemed to be one of the hands down favorites. I didn't make it to that one. I don't know why, but it was like a full 6-hour day or more, and everyone painted a skull. And I saw a lot of people's paintings that came out of it. I didn't see Christian's painting from it, but I saw a lot of people who took it, and there were a lot of good paintings.
Yeah, he's pretty sick. Yeah. Oh, where do I click? Come on, give me more. Oh well, guess we don't get any more.
You looking forward to being at Jiminy Peak again, Gabe? Yeah,
it'll be fun. We're doing something a show with Mark from Needle Jig, and so we've got 2 days up there on the mountain. Real chill. It'll be just seminars. We got one room for seminars, one room for like a hangout room, and we'll be doing a ton of webcasting and such.
When is that?
It's 24th and 25th, right after the conventions.
Oh,
it'll be in Richmond.
Yeah, right after Richmond. Okay.
But this is Christian. I guess this is him in his travels here. I think he's in Vietnam here.
Oh wow.
But one of the ways that a lot of these guys, artists will get inspiration, obviously, is to to travel to amazing, fantastic places, and
we do have the opportunity to go to Vietnam in March.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Alex from World Tattoo Events was there's a convention that is going on in Da Nang towards the third week of March. So him and I have been talking about that kind of cool stuff. So we should bring Alex on to talk about it sometime, because it is a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
He's worked with other promoters, pretty intimately for a long time. And so I'm interested to see what he does, in terms of hosting an event. He recently opened up that Dragon City Inc. I'm not sure if you saw that at all. It's pretty
Uh,
cool. He's really passionate about the things that he does. He's going places. I like to follow him.
Yeah, I've never met him. Yeah, we should definitely have him on. I
Great guy.
definitely relied on his website a lot.
Yeah.
To keep
Yep.
up with what's happening when.
This
Yeah,
is
and then
World Tattoo Events here. Let me fire it up real quick for people. If
right.
you're ever interested in figuring out any conventions anywhere, he's by far the largest resource of.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah, it has to be a ton of work.
I tried to copy him, like right away, whatever, 15 years ago. I was like, oh look, I have a convention listing, and I was like, I'll just go and copy every event listing. After about 2 days, I was like, fuck that shit, I'll just point people there.
Yeah, right.
It's funny. If you can get to March,
Let's see.
that we can show the show that he's talking about.
Probably everything we just scrolled through was for next weekend, if I had to guess.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I've noticed like 40 listings a month, or something like that.
Yeah.
This website is pretty easy to navigate though. I've depended on it as like a tool many, many times.
Yeah, super cool. Oh yeah, and you can choose by location too.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, reinventing.
Nice. So one of these.
The name.
I thought it was in May, so I'm not sure exactly if that would be it, but yeah, his logo's on it, so that's it.
Yeah, and Impact Events, I believe, is.
I thought it was in March. Yeah, so that could be it then. That location, yeah, that does look right.
Wow.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested, I know I've mentioned it to Jason because Jason and I dream to get out in the world and learn and do all sorts of things. So I would love if he can come. Cool
Yeah.
artwork too.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yep, that's the first one. So that's definitely what he's talking about.
That is something that I'd like to make more of an effort to do, is reduce the number of shows that I do, that Fireside does, but try to do, just shows that are destinations like this. Even if I could only do 2 a year, 3 a year, would be nice.
I know that this one would be a cool one, Jake, if we got a few of us together to go to. It's far enough out.
Yeah, plenty of time. Yeah, I'm definitely down to pick a few of those. Where is there one that you were talking about? Is it next year that you were talking about Ireland?
There's several. I've been talking about Ireland. So Raw Pigment sponsors the Titanic Tattoo Convention.
Okay.
So Michael, who owns Sick Tattoo Supply, Sick Cartridges, that's his show. But it's been going on for quite a while. So he did it really well this year. We couldn't go, a schedule conflict. We had Tony's show. But yeah, then I've also talked about New Zealand in March, which would be our friend Haiti is putting on a convention that looks pretty amazing. I should pull that up. And then I've also spoke about Belgium, which is coming up in November.
Yeah.
So there's several like cool, really amazing events going on. But like you said, sometimes you have to just slow down and realize what you want to do and just choose like a couple.
Yeah, and I make the mistake of like feeling obligated to shows that I've supported, in the past, but when I line all of those up, it's quite a few, and some of them are shows that I like enjoy being around the promoter, and it's the same group of people over and over, so it's kind of like it's the only time I get to see that group of people, and we're helping with whether it's some of the audio video stuff while I'm tattooing, the Scott or whoever from Fireside will be helping to make sure that the show is being projected onto the big screens or whatever. So we're always kind of helping with little stuff like that. And I just end up feeling obligated. And because of that, I don't even look at really epic, trips, And then, so as much as I love someplace like, Huntsville, Alabama, I would much rather go to, to New Zealand. So.
Yeah.
My internet is slow. Otherwise I'd be pulling it up. I'll copy it in the chat, Gabe, if you want to pull it up.
Yeah, for sure.
So this one is the one that we were going to obviously do last year, but things changed a lot in New Zealand because just the size, it's not, they're not messing around when they're talking about COVID. So coming up this year in March, New Zealand's interesting too, because there's like 300 shops. Yeah, they have the old date on it, but it's in March.
Okay. That's a crazy long flight, huh?
Yeah, I think it would take us like 24 hours to get there.
Ooh, I don't know if I can afford the first class for a 24-hour flight.
So I've worked with Chaz over
Awesome.
Ink, Toe, like a lot of these guys we work with already, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Aaron, another
Aaron,
level.
yeah, she used to work with Teresa, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's great.
yeah, she's really good.
Oh,
But yeah,
So
networking in New Zealand, that's just everybody does pretty much know each other, so that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. One of my favorite painters slash YouTubers is in New Zealand too. My brain isn't working this morning, so I won't think of his name. But someone in the chat I know I've talked about him so many times. It's someone that's in this chat will know who I'm talking about.
I'm firing
Andrew
up.
Andrew
yeah, I already got him up.
Tischler. Andrew
Oh,
Tischler.
Andrew
Yeah.
Tischler. I've got
Yeah.
Andrew Schwarbrick up, who's also pretty badass. I'll get
Okay.
I'm firing him up first, and then I'll fire up your guy.
Is this guy's in New Zealand?
Yeah. Also
Oh,
a
nice.
tattooer.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, look at that shit. He put his work in drunk critique one night.
Everybody's like, yeah, good. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks.
That's super cool.
Yeah. And so what was your guy? It was Andrew.
My guy's Tischler, Tischler. He really has a great YouTube channel. He's one of
we
the
did
better.
talk about him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and of course it would be that image, you know.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, his tutorials are really, really great. I actually have never bought one from him. I should. I don't know why I haven't. But he's one of those guys that he puts out such great stuff for free on YouTube that he almost shoots himself in the foot. So it's like, oh, I got so much out of this. I don't know why I would need to buy anything. But yeah, he's really, really good.
Okay.
And his YouTube channel has grown like crazy. I don't know how many subscribers he has now, but it's blown. When I first started following him, our channels were about the same size, and he's outpaced me slightly.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Right.
Speaking of Portland, remember what was it? Didn't you get the line like, "Why would we help you"?
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. What's his subscriber
Andrew.
count up to now? I can't see it very well.
485K.
Yeah. So yeah, he left me behind, but you know, he's a better artist and a better YouTuber.
In this
so
short little video, we're going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
really good.
incredible. It's cool when you have that that broadcasting sense when really you didn't probably sign up for that, you know, like even you, Jake and Gabe, like it's cool. I like that enthusiasm that he has.
Yeah, he's very enthusiastic. He's super excited about every scene that he takes on, and he can do everything. I prefer his landscapes to his portraits. His portraits sometimes look a little like stiff to me, like overly rendered, but that's just my preference. I like loose portraiture, and he really is a very tight portrait artist. So I don't tend to watch a lot of his portrait work, but I love his landscapes, the seascapes. They are absolutely crazy. And he sold me on these. I did buy his dagger brushes that are put together by Rosemary, and they don't make me any better. Surprisingly, I thought I'd
Instantly paint like him.
Yeah, I'll be like, man, I've got these dagger brushes, and now I paint waves like Andrew Tischler.
That's David Cassin's set. As soon as you get David Cassin's brushes, you paint like David.
Then I start painting like Cassin. Yeah, he would be a good one to have on. Have you talked to him in a while? I met him and got to know him a little bit in Venice, and we had loosely planned on him coming and doing a workshop in Memphis and never pinned it down.
Oh, we could.
But yeah, he'd be a great one.
He's out of control.
Uh-huh.
So good. And you know, the Holocaust memorials, obviously, in this day and age, are probably more relevant than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of time with people that actually went through, you know, fascism and concentration camps, and they understand that it's absolutely zero joke, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was about to say, he posts a lot of interviews with with the people. His process is so tedious, so crazy. We had a good interview with him in Venice. Actually, he was the first person that we interviewed there. And I remember one line he said, I was talking about just his process and how intense it is and how long it takes. And he said, painting is like dessert for me. I don't really ever want it to be over. So I like keep painting on a painting indefinitely. But yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, his wife's fucking badass painter too.
Yeah, yes. Is her name Shannon? No, her last name starts with an S. I can't think of it now. Slevins. Yeah, Shanna Levinson. Yeah, I think her Instagram is like Slevinson or something like that. She's really good too. It's funny how our tattoo news show just goes into like just looking at all of our favorite.
Is the line blurred?
The line is blurred. This show definitely blurs it.
So what's next for you guys coming up this week? Anything cool going on?
We're in full like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel on the web redesign. So hopefully that's pretty well done, this week, or not done, but at least to a point where we can launch it and have it live. That's at least our goal. I have a pretty full
sorry,
week
real quick, I'm
tattooing.
throwing up
Here she is. Yeah.
Just so people get a
Yeah, like I said,
that's going too fast.
Those are self-portraits. I think that's her, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So she does a lot of that really like highly rendered realism too. But if you look at her work with David's, they're like, they're so different in their approach and the way that they apply paint.
This is the first layer, she says.
Yeah, crazy.
And they both do classes. They've been doing a lot of classes with Rember out in the spot in Dallas.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Oh.
And you could tell, man, all those guys fucking kill it. And they keep killing it. Yeah, Rember's got a badass shop there. He's one of my favorite interviews that you did.
Yeah, thanks. He was really good. I don't think that he remembers me that well. He knows that he knows me, but he doesn't know from where. I saw him in Phoenix a couple of times. Yeah. And then I caught him on the way, walking out all the way back to the hotel. And we talked for like 5 minutes just on the walk. And whenever we split ways, I still thought like, he doesn't remember he knows that he knows me, but he has no idea that we did an interview together.
No, it's like a full hour long. It was great. It was great when he gets into his like philosophy of owning a business and bringing in other artists and making sure that, I know that like him and I think Francesco, maybe there's another there's a lot of badasses there, but the other, maybe one of the owners, they'd stick the new people right in, but I don't really know, but like I remember a story that he told about sticking the new people in between them. So like when you get introduced to the shop, it's like you're just in between two badasses.
Yeah.
And anyways, I don't know whatever it is.
Rember definitely holds his own in terms of the way he handles his image. I would definitely consider him iconic. It's
I would put him, maybe some other people have to die first, but right there, if not there. He's also, I think, probably the hardest worker. Like I watched him tattoo probably 16 hours, and he drove to the airport with his client, got on an airplane, flew back to Texas, and then finished the tattoo.
Yeah,
it was nuts. I was like, oh shit. Okay.
The first time we did that interview, and I know we're out of time to hear about, but we did that interview at Evergreen in Oregon, and he did like 3 days, full long days on the same piece, incredible piece. And then I would see he would post that night that he had a full painting set up in his hotel room. So he would tattoo for like 12 or 13 hours. And then he went back and worked on this like incredible oil portrait that he was doing in the room.
Nice.
It's just, it's mind-boggling the amount of work that he puts in.
Which is why his work looks the way it does, and he's got a shop of the size that it is while keeping it together. It's fucking impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. Well, we're over. Have we said anything? Yeah. Lauren, what about you? Are you traveling this week anytime soon?
Oh, actually, funny, I am. I forgot to mention I'm going to go see Guy on Thursday.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Cool. Just to do some video stuff, or you're
no, I'm doing some stuff with reinventing. I'm not getting tattooed, so.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
But anybody that's been purchasing the biomech encyclopedias will be happy to know that we'll have a process that does not require Guy to actually physically take the books himself and put them into the packages and send them out, because he does actually tattoo all the fucking time. So it'll be awesome for Lauren to be able to help with part of that, because everyone they buy the book and they're like expecting Amazon deliver it to the next day. And in reality, again, it's Guy, at a spot, a couple times a week. I mean, he's shipping them out regularly, but it'll be awesome that's off his plate for sure.
Yeah, logistics is something I've got under my wing for a decade. So helping him out. But it'll be great to see him. I saw him in August. I like, seeing him in person is really cool. We see him all the time, but in person is awesome. So I'll let you know how that goes. Yeah,
excited. Hey, can we throw out as we sign off? Gabe and I, we've been talking about an inspiring tour, which Gabe has been doing. He's done a couple with Nick Baxter and Sean Barber. We talked about me doing one at the same place, this bed and breakfast next April, but who would my partner be? That's the question for the few people that are left still watching. Who would be a good co-presenter? Because we're
I'll think about that too. Maybe
hitting
I'll
the
have
wall.
a couple ideas for next week.
Awesome. All right, sounds good. Yeah, I
All
said
right.
it too late. We lost like 10 people right before that on the Fireside.
Perfect.
Well,
That's all right.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Next week is episode number 48.
All right.
Oh,
Looking
so
forward
we're
to
coming
it.
up on 52. We should do our
50.
52 because I mean it'd be a year even if we didn't do it weekly. Although I think we have been doing it weekly.
Are we celebrating episode 52 or episode 50? Because 52 means it's a year's worth, but 50 is like, it's like an anniversary. So I
I don't know. 52. I guess we'll find out.
Maybe two
Stay tuned.
parties. Stay tuned.
2 parties.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
All right. Well, see you guys.
Okay. Cheers.
Thanks,
everybody.
guys. Have a good week.